It's been a quiet week, but I've got stuff to do this weekend. Whether or not I'm going to do any or all of it is another question, but I'm going to start with this. So, spent a good deal of time sometime during the week. Maybe it was last weekend, I don't remember. I guess it was last weekend, at Home Depot, looking for something like this. And this is actually a micro-channel coupling for, I guess, an underground or perhaps above ground water drainage system. So you would have these channels that go on either end, and then these insert into it to hold them together. And then, of course, it's through to the middle. Now, why do I want something like this when I don't want the underground irrigation or drainage system? Well, I've been looking for something that I can use as a channel, and I'm going to do some mods to this. And I'm going to show you what it is. So hold on. Let's go take a look. This is our exercise bike. It's a recumbent exercise bike because I'm lazy. And I actually like riding recumbents better than regular bikes, but it's out in the real world. They're too dangerous. They're too low. Cars can't see it, even the big flag. It's just, but they are awesome bikes. In fact, if anybody's interested in one, I've got a recumbent out in the storage shed that I'll be happy to sell. Anyway, when we got this, it originally, and you can see it here, it had a cheap plastic channel that's set up here, and you could put stuff in it and watch, well, your phone or something. And in my case, the goal here is to get that back. That just broke off, within a days. Tried putting it back, didn't work. So I'm going to try again. I'm going to try with something like this. And I'm going to cut it down. And I was originally got two of them, and I still have two, but they're too big. So my idea is to put two of them, cut this in half, and then one there, one there. Take the top off, and leave a place for me to insert my iPad right here so I can do stuff while I'm exercising. So that's the plan. And then to make that all sticky, we've got some Loctite epoxy for plastic. And we'll see how that goes. I don't know if I'd call it a snag, but I found something unexpected from lack of observation. So here is the original, and I had decided I was going to cut it in two, so because I didn't need it this long. So cut it right down the middle along that seam, and then I was just going to use the two halves. But when I cut it open, I discovered that if you look here, you see those, I don't know what you call them, but they're like supports. And you can see how thin the plastic is. What I didn't realize, now here's the half I cut. No supports, thicker plastic. Well, back to the original here. Supports, no supports. Halfway down the middle, there's a thing where the two come together to prevent them from traveling any further if one goes inside. Anyway, practical upside was when I cut it open and I realized it, and I realized I was going to have to use one half of each one to get them the same. So I took the other half, the half with the supports, and let's see here. Well, I've got the pieces. I've already cut it. I didn't want to set the camera up to shoot this, so the two halves, and then I cut them along here like this, although that's the piece I'm throwing away, like that, and I've already polished up the sides so that I've got a little trough and I've got plenty of bonding space to bond the epoxy to the, and the reason I picked that particular side is, I don't know if you can see this, is that it does expand out a little bit, so it's bigger at the top here than it is at the bottom. So that means I've got a little bit of an angle to make more room to put something in it, make it a little easier. So now I got to do the next one. Now here the epoxy is drying. So what I've done is I couldn't get clamps to it because the back side, which you can't see here, is kind of curved. So what I used was blue tack and a level to place that ruler so that it's quote unquote perfectly situated. And then I was able to rest the two pieces on that and epoxy them in place. And I just basically held them down long enough for them to stay. And because it's angled, it won't come off. So as soon as that dries up, I can remove the ruler and the blue tack, and we should be all done. And here it is in its final form, with the iPad there showing you how it works. It does block the screen, but I don't use the screen on the exercise bike anyway, so it doesn't matter. Star Trek being much more important. And then if we come down here just a little bit, we can kind of see the way it sits in there. There's plenty of room. It actually fits with the case too. I don't know what's back here, but I'm going to find out. Part for a passageway to the back of the grocery store, there was also a little alcove buried along that wall. And when I got there, that was where the homeless person was. Scared the shit out of him, and vice versa. You'd think they'd close that in just so that wouldn't happen. Late from work today because of problems. So it doesn't make any sense to go home. So I have to kill time somewhere. So I'm killing it here at what used to be Park Central Mall. I think they still call it that, but it's not a mall. It's offices, and there's a few food places. But there's this Park Central Deli, which is closing after 60 years. Years ago, our offices when we moved the first time, our offices used to be right across the street, and so we'd come here and eat all the time. It was a great place. Gonna miss it, even though I don't come here very often anymore. I love the tops of car parks. Unless, of course, you have to park in them, then I hate them. Because of course it's hot and sunny. So let's take a look. So over there, that is the Copper Point building now. It used to be called the Abacus Towers, and that's where I used to work when I'd come here and eat. We were in that building for many years. When I got hired there, they were in that building. And then the day that I closed on my house, which is just, 3 miles from here. The day I closed on my house, I took the morning off. I went down to the title agent. We signed all the final paperwork, got the keys, all the fun stuff. And I came into work, and I got there, and the boss called me over to his desk and said, we're moving. We're moving to a new building on the other side of town. And I thought, really? You saved this just for today? Thanks ever so much. And then over there, the building with the funny looking windows, that's called the Punch Card Building. It's actually the old IBM building, I guess from the 60s, and they moved out long ago. But the building has remained, and in fact, one of our divisions was in that building for several years. And so I've been there many times working on their computers. Well, anyway, this is downtown Phoenix. Well, this is uptown downtown. This is not the downtown. This is kind of the uptown business district. I don't recall there ever being so many noisy birds in Michelle's tree before. Well, it's indicative of the time of year. The birds are coming, and then they'll go. And finally, this is the old busted up fan that I'm taking off James's ceiling, and I have replaced it with a new spiffy light, which looks like that. It's LED, it's low profile, which is the important part, and unfortunately it is not HomeKit enabled, but oh well. Let's see if it works. It works. Mission accomplished.